My video for May the 24th, 2019 is video number 3095. And the title is The Truly Enlightened Ones. This quote comes from the Brilliance in Commerce email to which I subscribe. Quote, any teacher, philosopher, religious leader, or so-called saint who has taught that you have to give up third world density, wealth, and pleasure in order to have higher heavenly and spiritual attainment has lied to you. This has been a clever divide and conquer strategy by the false priests, unscrupulous, greedy businessmen masquerading as spiritual leaders, to make you guilty about your worldly desires and therefore control and subjugate you into a kind of mental slavery. The truly enlightened ones throughout history have always celebrated 200% of life, 100% inner fullness, and 100% outer fullness. While it is true that desire for lower things eventually fade away and become seen as child toys when higher magnitudes of bliss unfold, it is also true that forcibly and prematurely giving up those lesser things is not the way to attain the higher bliss. In fact, all it does is weaken one's mind, divides one's being, and delays one's spiritual progress. The way to the higher bliss is positive, not negative. It is to celebrate everything, to manifest as much love and happiness as possible for oneself and all other life at the same time. Yes, I had several directions I could go with this video. I know I had talked about that sign behind me of the flag with the vertical rather than horizontal stripes. But I get the Brilliance in Commerce emails, regularly. As I said, I subscribe to that. And some of the things, like everything else, are really good. Some of them raise more and more questions for me. While I agree that we have to put 100% of our attention on what is here now, which includes our thoughts of the past, our hopes for the future, because it's this lifetime that we're focused on. And this lifetime is not just on the material plane, it is also on the spiritual plane. So there are two planes of consciousness. And to give up either of them, I agree with the writer of this, that would be a premature thing to do. We are here now in a physical manifestation, and we also have the ability here now to transcend this in moments of time, but not escaping the physical world. That's the challenge that I have and that all spiritual seekers have. We want, I believe most of us want, a new heaven and a new earth. We want to be told the truth. We want to be able to enjoy the fruit of a physical world. And at the same time, we want to have the peace and tranquility and be able to manifest the love of the spiritual realm. Supposedly the spiritual realm is loving. Sometimes I wonder, but let's say for now that it is loving. Now, Brilliance in Commerce uses a lot of quotes from Eastern gurus, Sri, whatever, that a lot of them start with SRI, Sri, and there's good things in it. I pay attention to a lot of things. I don't get all of my information from one source. I'm not a religionist. Religionists tend to pin everything on one source. The joke Uh, I think I don't remember if I said that in a recent. I think I did say it in a recent video. Uh, Shh, that's where the Baptists are, and they think they're the only ones here talking about heaven, and it's a joke. But many people are on the ego trip of thinking my way is the only way. That's why I have encouraged and practiced exploration. I want to think outside the box. I do believe that love is important. I do believe that there is truth, but I also believe that the truth has been obscured for whatever reason you want to give it. There are many fingers we can point at the globalists or the elite establishment or the fallen angels, you name it. There are lots of fingers that we could point, but it all comes down to what are we going to do with our individual lives? What are we going to buy into? I have bought into the idea that there's going to be an RV. Well, I had somebody write to me with several emails, several comments on my recent video, saying some other group run by a lady is the one that's right. Everybody wants to be the right one. I don't know what the right one is, but I will know when there is blessings being poured out to all of humanity, when there are actual ways that those of us that are visionaries can liberate ourselves from the bondage of having our home stolen, as mine was, and of trying to exist in a world that's money driven. I don't put my trust in Donald Trump. I'm sorry. I don't put my trust in any political group. But I do believe that there are ideals, and I subscribe to those ideals of being honest. And I can't subscribe to groups that are dishonest. I mean, I've talked about Jimmy Swaggart in the past. He at least was honest enough to admit that he sinned. Okay, he did something that was not in alignment with what he was preaching and teaching. He stepped out of bounds, and he admitted it with tears. Were they fake tears? I don't know. It doesn't matter. He made a public confession. Many people do not go that far as to actually making a public confession of the misdeeds. We've all made mistakes. Me too. I've done things that if I had it to do over and I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have made some of the same choices that I made. I would have made different choices. But I can't undo what I've done, although there are people that teach that we can undo because it's fluid. Well, I don't experience that fluidity. I'd like to. I'd like to be able to sort of exist in more than one place at the same time. But the best I can do is to allow the spiritual dimensions to impinge on the physical dimension that I live in and not attain, but experience. Attain is the wrong word because attain would mean that I've reached some plateau. Well, there is no plateau. There is just a ladder of experience, or ladder implies it's going up and down, and sometimes it's going horizontally. So we have various experiences that give us challenges or bliss, depending on what they are and how we choose to respond to them. I don't know that I'm a truly enlightened one. Maybe at one time I thought I was. I thought what I was being taught was the truth, although I've been an explorer, as I said, since I was a teenager. And I want to be among those that are liberated and among those that help set humanity free. And I'd like to join with as many as possible with that same vision. Thank you for listening, and namaste.